Good morning. It is 9:22 a.m. on September 20th, 2024. We're meeting with IAFF for a bargaining session. I'm Nikki Powell, HR Director.
Eric Gilmore, Public Safety.
Debbie Bowers, County Admin.
Janice Floyd, Deputy Director, Human Resources.
Tamika Williams, Public Safety.
David Carrioso, Local 4131.
Josh Hunter, 4131.
Justin Markham, 4131.
And I'm sorry for the delay.
Wait,
y'all.
Kristen.
Sorry, Kristen.
Kristen Hewell, County Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Eric.
No problem.
All right. Sorry for the delay. Technical issues. All right. So I think that I have everything here. Yeah, I'll give to you a second, Eric. Pull these pages out. Alright, this is just a draft copy, it's not our final copy, I was waiting on confirmation from fire chief, and of course, we know he's not here, but I think we've got everything encompassed, so I'm gonna try to cover it for him, and get Eric and Debbie to step in if needed. So, Article 4, I think you guys asked for additional, union leave, which we, did not agree to, so Article 4 is just as is. I looked over the course of the last 3 to 5 years, I think you guys have averaged 20 hours, so there's no need to add more leave. If you were to get to a point of you've used it, then maybe we'll have another discussion.
Well, and that was our point is we are starting to be more representation at conferences and things like that. And that's why we're just looking to the future, we've been obviously good stewards of that time.
But Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, union leave can't be used for conferences.
Representation, if we're there
That's correct.
for, even if we're doing union business representation. That's what.
Union business
Yeah,
representation.
we're conducting business at the state level or whatever in our organization, we're representing our local at the state level. It's,
No,
okay,
that does not fall within the definition that's allowed under public level employees relations commission.
okay, that's fine.
The grievance article, you guys didn't submit anything, there was just some cleanup in step 1 and step 2. I think there was some confusion, and I don't know if it's all of our contracts we're cleaning this up in, which I think it is, it's the following or after. So you're just changing that term from to after, and that's just cleanup. Yeah. Article 8, we had a discussion last time of the percentages and how the percentages apply for an annual rate. Found the 9-hour rate was not equivalent to the percentage, but the 24-hour rate is, so there is a proposal here for the 9-hour, but not the 24-hour because it is equivalent to the rest of the county. And then on 8034, that was a request from the fire chief to make that change. I think it was for an operational need. And I believe he discussed that at the last session.
Yeah. That one,
Give a chance to absorb.
yeah,
Okay. Article 10, this is just a proposal that we're making, is in the 72 hours, that be used in 12-hour increments. Because of the tracking, it's just a nightmare. People are using 1 hour, 2 hour, of those 72 hours, and it really doesn't help them out at all. The 12 hours would help both sides, truly. In the ones that I've seen where they've used 1 and 2 hours, there's no benefit to the employee. It's actually not helping them.
okay.
Article 12 is a little bit of change, a little bit of cleanup. EMT, the rate would remain the same as far as what I'm gonna refer to like as an equivalency, the 51 cents. I added what the equivalency is for a 9-hour because that's not ever been in here, but it's something that we manage internally. And I wanted to get that on paper, same thing with the paramedic. And then if you take a quick look at the appendix, which be at the end of the pages that I gave you guys. I'm not sure what order you got it in. If you don't have one, I have an extra one over here somewhere.
So,
You can
okay.
see in the appendix how we've accommodated that, for this year. That would just be a 1 year only, that would be for this year, and then the intent, I think Adam has an intent to eventually add a driver position. We cannot accommodate that in this year's budget, and then that would be adjusting kind of everything, so we're hoping that in next year's wage openers or even before, depending on what happens with, possible taxes, things like that, that's something that we could look at. But in this year's budget, it wasn't something that we could accommodate, but he does have a plan, and this would help him lay that plan out better, which is why we changed the table to look like this. Article 13, he had accepted some of your changes, not all of them, and, I think you just kind of have to go through and see as far as what he accepted and what he didn't. We'll let you guys go to caucus and discuss these articles. I got a room that you guys can go to, and let you look over that one a little bit more. The one thing I want to point out in this article though is 1305C. To understand the intent of the language is instead of doing all 3 tests every year, we're looking to do lieutenant and captain in 1 year and battalion chief in the next year. So it's not the intent to never do it, because this kind of sounds like it gives us the authority to do it when we want, but it's like an every other year, and that's simply for budgeting, because it's something like $70,000 for each set of tests, so that would be $210,000. We don't have that this year in the budget to do promotions for all, plus you don't really have a VC vacancy, so if we do lieutenants and captains this year, and we do VCs next year, that language is what we're trying to convey there.
I guess my question would be on this, that we signed an MOU, I believe, back in,
It's all incorporated.
I understand that, but that point intent was to go out for bid to get the testing. We're still without a list for lieutenants right now. So where is, point of signing that was to get the process started. Where are we at there right now?
I don't have the answer for that. That's something Adam and I have not discussed, so I don't know where we are on the promotion process. I can get with him, I'll have him when he gets back to meet with you guys and talk about the promotional process where we're at. That's no problem.
And I will say 1304 was what we had changed and done an MOU on, and that's all incorporated in here.
What's the game plan in the event we exhaust the list before the 2 years, if you're flip-flopping, because that's what we've done twice now in the last 3 promotional processes.
I think it's a matter of funding.
It is a matter of funding.
This is
Well,
what
I understand
The
that,
reason why we do it,
but
but-
that's why we're in the pickle we're in right now.
We're exhausting the list, and now we gotta have a list going
Yeah,
right now,
and
so.
with that being very clear about doing it every other year, are we leaving ourselves latitude to say, hey, we exhausted the list in 12 months, we didn't see this coming, because in pretty much any day, these guys can start in masses, could just say, I'm done, I'm out of here,
Yeah.
y'all can have it. And then we're gonna exhaust the list like very fast.
Well,
And then
and-
also the amount of people that are eligible to test, because we've had so many people leave from 2018 timeframe, all those guys would have been eligible to test.
Yeah.
And now we're in this pickle that we're currently in, and to my knowledge, I don't think it's been out for bid, because we got some staff notes that it was going out for bid, meaning this 60 days or 30 days, however long that bid process is.
Yeah.
And the announcement, we're not testing until January of next year now. And we're gonna have a guy retire in a couple days, and then we'll have another one retire in February. We got another one retiring in October. We're in a pickle.
Yeah. And you're welcome to counter, obviously, on anything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, with with the language, try to explain what the fire chief's intent was.
Okay,
And with him not being here, I can't really,
understand.
unfortunately, this was already scheduled before he made the other plans. So once
Understand.
it's advertised,
I understand.
so.
I understand.
So, yeah,
I just hope
we haven't,
hope
he
we're
and I
not
haven't.
painting ourselves into a corner.
No, no,
for
that's a good
future
point.
Yeah, no,
problems,
that's a good
'cause
point.
of-
If you read the language, it says it shall, once the list is exhausted, shall be tested within 6 months. For
Yeah.
lieutenants and captain, then they also added in there, battalion chief will be there until the list is exhausted or at the whim of the fire chief.
I think there was a safety catch in there, but,
Okay.
to be honest with you, unless, like you said, unless we just have that mass lieutenant retiring, we was in a unique situation where we got all these positions at one time, and it could happen again, when we get another batch of,
You never know.
we get more stations opened up, double staffing companies and everything like that, you never know, so,
Yeah.
good point.
Eric, I'm encroaching on your space.
That's fine, go
Just
ahead.
wanna Make sure I'm covering, other stuff that we talked about, okay. 13, so 16. I think we just added the existing MOU that was signed for uniforms.
Yeah.
That should be what that language is.
So there was, because we had talked about the MOU being 425 and then coming back, the goal was to come to 500 due to the rising cost of everything. You know, 425 in here still.
Yeah, I think that Adam does have 500 budgeted, and I think we just incorporated the MOU without asking Kristen to change the language, so that's my fault.
So the intent is to be 500.
500,
That's what I
yes.
have written down,
Yes,
yes,
that's correct.
that's what he has budgeted, and
That's, yeah, that was the budget this year, so.
Yeah, so. Alright, Article 19, holidays. So, just to clarify, the intent here is if you don't work, you get the 12 hours. If you do work, we're doing 20 hours. The reason that we're doing 20 hours is we did the math, and that's what we can afford. I know it seems like 24 wouldn't be that much, but actually after you calculated, it was like 60 firefighters times 12 additional hours times 14 holidays. It was just more than what Adam had in his budget to be able to do, so we tried to compromise.
Okay, so.
So it's 12 plus
So
8.
you work, if you're off that day, you get 12 hours.
That's correct.
If you're working that day, you get your normal pay plus your 20
8.
hours.
20 hours,
20,
correct. Yes. So that's why I wanted to clarify that language to make sure that was, the intent of that one was understood. Out of classification pay, this is, again, this is a proposal directly from the fire chief. So, as far as speaking to it, the only thing I can say is one 24-hour shift, a flat $50. So at the end of the day, that ends up actually being slightly more than what you would earn at a 10% rate. But instead of it being hour for hour, or instead of it being you have to do it for 2 weeks, it's a one full 24-hour shift and you'll get a flat $50.
So you took out, even if they're in the position for 2 weeks or more, they're not bumped to that higher pay rate.
I think we did, yeah, cause it was, in order, you had to do one or the other, right? You can accommodate one or the other, not both, so it was either $50 for the 24-hour shift. Because if you get the $50 for the 24-hour shift, but then you send it for 2 weeks, then somebody's gotta do the math to
That's what I was
either
gonna
take
do.
away or add money,
Well,
and
okay,
that
well,
gets
the-
super sticky.
Well, we're about to be in that situation where we're gonna have
Backing
a
up.
permanent, we'll call it actor, times 2 now, starting, in 7 days. So that's why he's saying that, is because we're gonna get into that
We'll see
situation.
how it goes.
Yeah, and again, you guys can counter or have additional discussion with Adam. It may not have been his intent to remove the 2 week,
I don't know that we fully discussed moving to, so I don't know what his intent was either, but I do know that we're
Yeah,
trying to
I
do
did
something
not
instead of hour per hour, that they
Yeah.
get something quicker with a $50 stipend. And to be honest with you, that is a lot cleaner if I do 24, and even if I'm acting for a month or two, I'm getting 50 each time, and that's an easier pay code, and something that's not gonna be, oh, Josh, I overpaid you, I'm sorry, now I need to take that money back from you. It's trying to make it easier.
And I just,
Yeah.
I wanna see if it, how it
That,
balances.
that's fine.
Yeah, Article 22, incentive, we're good with the 12, but we wanna put it in annually, would be one and done. Cause otherwise, they're having to track it and manually track those hours for an extended period of time.
And once it goes to the annual leave bank, you can use it at any point in time, as long as it's within the
That's
annual
it.
usage.
Correct.
That's it.
One
Simple,
and done.
simple.
And then the other thing that, I can't remember which article it was in, was the lifespan. We're not gonna add it to the contract. It is something that they are continuing to research. So they're continuing to look at that. And if they can coordinate that and they have the funds in their operating budget, they're looking at doing it. It's just not something we're gonna add to the contract because there's so many moving parts when they've done their research and what they've looked at and what they can accommodate, that they feel like if there's operating funds left and it equates to what Adam found, but then Chief Williams found something different, and then what exactly are we looking, what testing are we looking to do? If that's something they can just bring a bus to the firehouse and do something, they're gonna try to do that, but it's not something they're wanting to add to the contract at this time because funding, because the prices are anywhere from, we found, okay, $24,000, that's not bad, to like $300,000 to cover everybody. So even though every other year at $300,000, you're trying $150,000, it just was too much. So I think they're just really doing, I know Chief Williams was doing a lot of research on that, and it's not something that's completely off the table, it's off the table for the contract.
So the wages is just the 3%.
That's all we can afford right now.
Do you realize we're way behind to get paid?
I understand.
Like,
Yeah, we-
when I said way behind, like extremely behind.
It's gonna be harder next year. That's the only concern. Next year will be a more difficult conversation.
You know,
Well,
just,
the problem we're having is even your, vehicle maintenance budget just got cut $100,000. We're cutting out, all the departments I have are getting cuts on operations. And we just, I obviously don't know the budget that well, but I know that everything's getting cut, so we don't have the money,
so in like the Tri-County area,
right?
like we are,
Yeah.
I
you
mean, the
just don't-
firefighter EMT pays $13.50, yeah, that incentive in. Holly Navarre, $13.91, these are current rates. Pace, $14.95, and they're about to get 6%, go up on that, and then another 3% on their anniversary. Milton Fires at $15.21, Fort Walton Beach, $15.56, Pensacola at $15.80, Navarre Beach, $15.82.
Start, right?
Yeah, these are all starting rates for
Okay.
firefighter. Crestview, $16.06, Ocean City Wright, $16.65, Destin's at $19.28, Okaloosa Islands at $19.83, and South Walton just posted their firefighter EMT for 20+ starting. And we're sitting at $13.38, and you add the 51 cents to that, with below $14 an hour for a fire EMT. We are extremely behind. So, I say that to say, I mean, the wage article, I don't know if we can close a contract on that. I know we've done MOUs for the cross the board stuff as we've done in the past. Consider if the 3%'s all we got, but not closing the contract and negotiations. That way we continue to talk about an appropriate budget going forward and wage plan. Like, we've never had a wage plan and a way to get to a goal. And that's what we're looking for. We wanna get appropriate wages. We're not, our wage proposal we put our starting firemen at 26 in the 17 range. That's not even the highest, I mean, numbers, current numbers where we were at. And then we were, you know, getting the wage progression, a step plan, a chart. I don't think we're being unreasonable in those asks, and I understand the budget's tight, but nothing's being done to improve our budget. And that's a huge problem. And we got 2-year guys that are coming up on those contracts that are, one's already left. And he paid the rest of his out and left early because of higher pay and other things. So it's coming to where we're gonna get to where 2, 3, 4, even 6, 7-year guys, I can go make $5, $7, $8 more. It's an easy jump for them. So I just said that to consider, you know, for you guys to consider. But I guess let's take talk, we'll review these articles and then we'll come back with what we can do and stuff. So,
Well, real quick, on one, can I say that for just a second? So you got the fire lieutenant EMT at 2316, is that you're rolling the EMT into that hourly rate? Is that, like, that's now their new hourly rate, or is it
Yes.
still gonna be
It would be,
22.52 and then still the 51 cent?
it's rolling it into the hourly rate.
And you're just basically doing away with the EMT incentive and just doing an
Correct,
hourly
we're
rate?
leaving in Article 12, we're leaving the amount in there so that if everybody in this room is no longer here next week, somebody knows what that equivalency is. So when you get that EMT certification, it's 51 cents, no matter what you're making at the time. So the table is just the base, right? You're a base EMT or a base lieutenant EMT, that's just the base, but we're leaving where it's references the 51 cents and the 514 as, again, somebody no longer here, they can look at this and understand what they have to roll in once you get that certification.
Okay.
take a couple minutes.
Where do you want us to head to?
I'm gonna turn this recorder off and I'll walk you down the hall. All right, we're back from caucus.
On 16, do you guys get cleaned up language on that for the 500?
Oh, no, I did not. Were you looking for that?
You can get that to where the appropriate amount, we can go ahead and sign that one. But we'll start 4 with TA,
Okay.
5 TA, 16 with the cleaned up language, TA, and then 22, the wellness program, TA. On that one. On number 8, this was the last page, section
The part that Adam
803.
wanted to change.
What's that?
I said the part Adam wanted to change.
Yeah. Let's go from 7 to 5 and then extend the hours out from 12 to 24. If he wants to go that 24 hours, we'll stay at 7.
Okay, so you would do 7
Correct.
and
24.
24.
24.
Extend it back out.
Yeah, if he wants to extend the hours of time to call, 24, then keep it at 7 on schedule.
Gotcha.
Make that, TA that. Question on Article 10. So the 72 hours as hours worked, right?
Mhm.
Leave as hours worked, affectionately called Fugazi.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yes. Obviously, that's a wage balancing thing, and that's why it's there, right?
Mhm.
What is that cost out? Do you know what the cost of that is?
As far as when it's used,
I'd imagine there's a cost
I
associated with that.
I calculated a couple years ago when we first added it. Off the top of my head, I don't know, to be honest.
Just a question, because there's a lot of confusion on both sides of the fence of this. Obviously, you guys are trying to, for ease of your sake,
Blend the
12
manpower.
hours, right? Guys are still trying to figure out how to use it and what have you. We know it's what it's there for. What is that actual cost, and can we roll that to the hourly rate like we should have done originally, right? When we were talking about this, would that be something to look into?
Explain that a little more. I'm not following,
So-
and I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
had a
fine.
stressful morning, and I'm not usually, y'all know I'm usually much more organized. So
Right, when
I'm
we
trying to
went
follow
from-
along here.
So it was, basically when we took off and dropped all the FLSA hours, we still got our full time, right? The time and a
Okay,
half.
I got you. I'm
Right.
following now. I'm right back on board, yes.
Okay. So there was a cost associated with this, is what we came back with.
Yeah.
What is that cost that was associated with that? And just roll that into the hourly rate, it takes out all of this confusion, manpower trying to figure out, well, what league is this? The guys don't have to figure out, when I use it now, it doesn't help or affect me or anything like that.
No,
Just-
100% on board now. I
So
can
just put
figure
it back
that
into the
out.
salary, and see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's kinda like the same thing with the
Yeah.
admin, the 9 hours admin leave, putting it
Put it
into the
in-
annual, just
and to be done with it,
make
okay.
it
Oh,
easier
that's
for
it,
y'all
yeah.
to compute, and then easier for us to,
I mean, it's something I can
Use.
calculate,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
now that I'm,
Okay,
thank you.
so that's what we had on that one.
Okay.
We'll just skip over 12. Come back to that one. 13, there just needs to be further discussion on it to clarify some things.
So let's get in the office next week and just have a discussion with Chief Harrison where we're at. Tamika did look up, see if we had anything out there, and there was nothing out there as far as for bid or anything, so.
Yeah, I mean,
And see where we're at, and talk about if we exhaust the list again, we'll make sure we cover our bases, so we're not pigeonholed. I think there is a disclaimer in there, but make sure it's in there, so.
Yeah, it's there, and then of course there's some other things in here that kind of, going from 5 to 4 years.
Okay. So
Two
this
is
is
Y'all,
one year
y'all made
done.
that recommendation.
I don't think we
That
did.
wasn't your proposal, I promise.
I'll have to look at that. I would say, we'll go back and look at it.
Okay.
Oh, look, we were
I
accept- we
think
were
that was
accepting
more
your
for if we were
proposal on
going
that.
to, the restructure, the lieutenant would be the driver position. I think that's where that came from. So that's what I'm saying, look, maybe we'll have some more conversation.
I got you,
on it.
got
and
you.
I think
Yeah.
so, and I think Adam's intent is to actually eventually add
The
a driver
drivers, yes.
position, so
Correct.
then that would be a different set of qualifications, so, okay.
Yeah. So come back to that one. So kind of like we talked about with 12, doing it as an MOU, the 3% across the board to get it rolling now and continue those conversations.
So, Kristen, if I'm not mistaken, they have a Me Too, so they don't need an MOU for their 3%?
I just making sure that you
Y'all
guys
covered
will
it
get
in.
that
Y'all
when
read
it
that.
comes. Okay.
Right, Kristen?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
We'll hear from the lawyer, so.
no, that's fine. I want to make sure that come October, the guys are,
That's a
but we
done
still
deal,
continue
yeah.
the conversation so we can get that wage plan. Because we'd like to lock in a plan over the life of the contract,
Yeah.
so when it comes down time for budget, you guys are having these
Well,
conversations, you know exactly what's
So, you're talking about roll right now, so let's talk about it just real quick. I wanna
Okay.
just, as you know, our budget is what the budget is. We only generate so much MSBU, and now they're kicking in about 10 million GR to supplement our budget. We do have a new board coming up, so we gotta get the filling in the new board and see what their direction is. All the increases that you brought up, very valid, and we know that. And I've told, we had a discussion just earlier before we come in here. The thing about that is they now are implementing their new fee schedules so they can afford stuff. So we're trying to bring something to the board to increase our MSBU.
And that's why we.
And when we get to that point and we get that, then we can absolutely sit down with our money and talk about these things and come up with a good plan. But I think with the new board, I think we do have a path going forward to increase our MSBU. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, they do want us at the GR, but getting us at the GR is great, but also we don't need to just rob Peter, pay Paul, and balance out. I need growth, and that's where we think we can get this new board to, in discussion with them. So just let you know, the discussion's not dead and done, and it is, we all, even talking with Wes, he's not here, talking with Wes earlier this week with Chief Harrison, this very thing was brought up in the discussion, so.
And that's why I said too, this is a 1 year, because you always have wage openers in your contract. So this would just be for right now at this point in time, if we were to settle a contract, and then we
But that's the thing, is
have
that we don't
that
wanna close off
down the
this
road.
to
No,
wait a year, because a bunch of conversations happen before that year happens, so we're waiting a whole nother year, it's 2 years before any of that happens. So that's why, let's leave it open, and we'll come back to it, if that's okay with you guys.
But and just let me know, leaving it open leaves the whole contract open, okay?
I'm aware, so, but again, 2 years before we do something, or 6 months. We still technically have a contract that we work underneath, and that's why we're talking possible MOUs to get things moving, right? But obviously the wages one, if that's gonna happen, we don't need it, because of the Me Too, and by all means, as long as the guys are gonna get that 3%.
Right. And the guys are gonna get 3%, but, as far as, when the MSBU and everything comes up, of course, we're gonna need help.
Understood.
It's gonna be a joint effort in getting that across the finish line, thank you.
And that was kind of the same concept on 19. It's definitely a huge step in the right direction, kind of especially guys working those holidays to recognize that.
Right.
And
that's
getting
what-
back to where we were, that 2.5
And that's what
times.
he's trying to do, so,
And that would, again, if, consider maybe an MOU on that one to get it rolling for this next year.
I don't think we can do that,
I'll have to,
yeah. That's a
Kristen?
conversation.
that's
Why?
can you weigh
I'm
on
sorry,
that?
Ruth. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Article 19?
They're basically wanting to leave the contract open because of wages, but do MOUs for some of the articles. And I said I didn't think we could really do that.
We should probably discuss that in caucus, but I wouldn't advise doing so, unless it's absolutely essential. I also wanted to mention, I just looked in my file, I think my recollection is the same as yours, that we only did MOUs for ECAT and the ops unit, because there was the Me Too clause and the other three, but why do I have a drafted MOU from last fiscal year for the 3% for IAFF?
Yeah, I think it'll come down to sign.
Did I forget that, we didn't use it?
Came down to sign.
Previous HR wanted to have one on file, but with
Yeah,
the
they
Me
come down
Too
here.
clause, it's just easier to move forward. From our perspective, Janice, I think, it's easier to just move forward with everybody.
Jump into Me Too
Okay,
clause, if
'cause
everybody's
I
getting
do
it.
have one for each unit for last year.
And we
but-
did push those out, but, if they're not necessary,
Are they necessary?
no.
We don't need it, right, Kristen? I mean, it's a Me Too
Yeah.
clause, so.
If, you know, they do have Me Too clauses, so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I
Okay.
think if it was just something that was considered cleaner to have it in writing, but, it's your call.
Okay. I think we understand that they're getting it.
Right, well, and that one is, so we're getting that, but like this 19 is a change to that article, and to get it moving process now, we could do it as an MOU to get it moving, versus waiting until the contract's actually closed, because like I said, we wanna leave wages open, so we're not waiting 2 years to get something rolling. But this allows, at least for this change to take place, and that's why I was offering the MOU, you
And
know.
that's really not something I can answer,
Okay,
so.
so, that's what we
Did she
would like to
answer
do
whether,
there.
is there something, a legal ramification with it?
She just said that,
Oh. I thought it was for the 3% to Me Too, this is separate.
yeah,
Yeah,
he was
that's-
asking for
yeah,
an MOU
just-
for this, and I was asking, can we do that? And she said it would be, you know, but me, and I don't think anybody in this room can answer that, so we'll have to wait.
We'd like to explore that option if we can to get it going for the guys for this coming year. Especially right now, we're rolling into holiday season.
Absolutely.
And then, Article 20, out of classification, I think that I had, needs more
Did you do
further
the numbers on
conversation.
it?
I haven't ran the exact numbers on it yet, but just kind of spitball. Plus, it's, when you get an extended vacancy, it is gonna be far less, right?
And I'm not sure if his intent was to remove that, of course, he's not here to speak to it, so.
Well, and that's kind of like, it was a
Yeah.
further conversation on that
Sure.
one with Article 13,
Okay.
before we can really move on that. But it is definitely appreciating the step kind of in the right direction, but we also need that, if we do have that actor to step up for any length of time, that they're paid appropriately for filling that role, right? So,
With the 9-hour day.
oh yeah, and or somebody gets shifted out of the 24 crew and bumped up to
To
the
a
9-hour
9-hour day.
truck,
Yeah, I
that's a,
got you.
that's a full shift up
You're right.
there. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, definitely appreciate it moving in the right direction there, but clean it up a little bit and see if we can get some common ground.
Okay.
And then obviously 12, you know where we land on that one, is we gotta do something. We can't keep kicking it down the road. Obviously, like you said, you addressed it with the budget. That, that's a big deal, and I mean, as long as you've been in your position, we've been trying to say, hey guys, this is a problem, we need to do something, we need to fund appropriately. This is what's going on. As long as I've been on board over 7 years, like, it's the same conversation, we've been preaching it for years and years and years. So, yeah, hopefully we can get, and like I said, let's have some, we got a plan that would work for us and definitely make your life a whole lot easier. And if we can get that ball moving, especially with the new board, as you said, coming in, sit down and talk with them, getting the funding appropriately. But again, it's hard to close a contract on a 3%, and then when we got wages in a year, again, that process, then it takes another year for all that stuff to take effect. We're coming to the end of that contract then. So if we can just hold a little bit on this and settle it out to where we have a 3-year plan going forward, guys know exactly what's gonna happen. It goes to a whole other aspect, just not for the guys here and retaining them, but recruitment, retention, and it makes our life easier down the road if we can put it into one condensed form and say, you know, we're not talking about, you know, our starting wages. We're talking about, hey, we need to do 5% on the chart or whatever, 5% per year.
I don't think
It's
you got
easy.
any disagreement on this side, it's just that we don't have the funding
Funding source.
to do that. So, I mean, like I said, if we change some key elements, then going forward, then I'd love to come in here and not talk about Article 12 ever with you guys,
But yeah, that's what we have. If we can get a couple of those things, obviously with the 3% coming up, but if, that holiday, that'd be a great gesture moving forward, especially for the guys coming up right now, especially the ones that are working their second Christmas in a row, not getting off. That would be good. So that's what we have on those. I don't know if we'll get those TA.
You want to sign them, but I'll have to get Wes's signature later. So
we
I've
gotta
got
change one of them to the.
4,
Right, you gotta change.
5,
16 with the change.
22.
16, I gotta get that, and I gotta talk to Adam about, no, 22 was good. What
22 is
was
good.
the other one that,
22.
it was 8, that if we change
Yeah,
that,
so
so that's
what-
an Adam
So,
question.
so 8, y'all bringing back some different language, right? Y'all gonna work on language on 8?
No,
yeah,
he
the only-
this is what he said on 8, so I just
Seven
think
for the-
Adam's okay.
Okay. Oh, that's right, he already.
On that one. Yeah, I've got that. So, got these, so as far as really 4, 5,
16, 22.
4, 5, we can TA, 16 with the 500, we have a TA, which we agree with that, that was what the intent was. 22, we have a TA, and 8, we would have a TA if it's 7 and 24. Okay, so I just gotta get both of that from Adam. So since I can't get Wes's signature today, I'll just take this, note it, and document it in an email or something to you, and then, try to see what we could do on the holiday one.
Okay.
That's the other thing.
The holiday one,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
we gotta
that's
just come back on the
yeah.
holiday one, and then we'll talk Article 13, we'll talk about promotions, and with Adam, and just clean that up, make sure everybody's tracking on that, so.
So let me recap, because sometimes I will go back and listen to this, so that
That's fine, I do too.
yes, I'm gonna recap one more time. Article 4, we have a TA. Article 5, we have a TA. Article 16, TA with the 500. Article 22, a TA. Article 8, TA if we change it from 5 and 24 to 7 and 24. Article 10, I'm gonna calculate the cost of the Fugazi leave. Article 12 will remain open. Article 13, you're gonna have a labor management session with Adam to ensure the language encompasses the intent, because I think we're all very close on the same page, but that's just something that only he can speak to. Article 20, you guys are gonna go back and do some math.
Yeah.
And Article 19, we will discuss MOU, and let you know something.
Very good.
Alright, then I guess we'll close it out. Alright.
Thanks, guys.